The 4 pit stops for Mazda and 5 for the 2 Porsches of any of those cars, so that's 18 pit stops. They went 85 minutes. They went 81, 81, 80, and then 85 on their 4th pit stop, as down in the pits, 33 minutes only for car number 9. Brought in early now. You remember it got out of sync earlier when they had a flat-spotted tyre, and it's come in again.
Just looking at the lap scoring situation here at the moment, Will, and the John Bowe, Dick Johnson car number 7 is behind the Fitzgerald-Richards car in the train, in the pace car train, but it's a lap up in the lap scoring, so it's actually worked to their advantage.
They've picked up 18 seconds, because they're shown as a minute 49 behind. When they come up to race speed, it won't be
unfortunately had a tag team. The original pace car had to pulled off the circuit. It's been pushed back up the pit lane, and we've got a substitute pace car out on the track.
Saw all that going on,
So let's hear more about it from down in the pits. John Smales with Alan Grice.
Well, the NASCAR madness continues, doesn't it, Alan Grice? With that pace car out, all 4 leading contenders have been in the pits. Car 7, a 36-second stop. Car 9, a 39-second stop, the 2 Mazdas. Then the 2 Porsches charged in, and both Medicare and Fitzgerald have had stops. What does it all mean, Alan?
Well, only when the pace car pulls off and the lap counters get back on the ball again do we know exactly. But I couldn't see the reason for the pace car. Sure, there was a car that had lost a wheel, was on the side of the road, but that's been happening all day. But in any case, I guess it makes it a better motor race again. But this Fitzgerald is 6 cars only in front of John Bowe. It'll be it's Fitzgerald still in the car. He didn't get out. Correct. So it'll only be 6 cars in front of John Bowe. John should pick him up. But whether that will, when he goes past him, whether that means he'll be a lap in front or just in front on the road, only the restart and the lap counters will be able to tell us.
Yeah, it is confusing, isn't it? But nonetheless, as you say, it makes a better motor race because, of course, 1 minute and 20 seconds has been taken off the Mazdas.
Yes, that's right. But 12 hours around a 3.93 kilometre circuit is always going to be confusing.
As soon as that pace car came out, I noticed that you immediately leapt off the pit wall and had a word in Alan Horsley's ear. First, I'm glad to hear that he's talking to you again. Secondly, what did you tell him?
Pace cars are a very tricky thing to play, and I've been pretty used to pace cars with, pace cars in America and here, and also the way they do it in Europe, and there's a few little tricks about it. I think Fitz may have pulled a little bit of an error in coming in for fuel only, because they've been chasing tyres all day. They haven't had a tyre problem, but their tyres have been marginal. Now he's putting extra laps on the same set of tyres. Mightn't be a terribly good move.
Well, it's been a sprint race for the last 5.5 hours. Suddenly it becomes a race of strategy and tactics.
Very interesting indeed, and very significant, because just to recap on what we were saying there, Mazda number 7 that still leads the race, John Bowe, we're looking at now, has had its longest stint there between refueling stops, 85 minutes by comparison with 2 of 81 and 1 of 80. By comparison, car 9, the Mazda, did only fraction less than half a stint, got only 33 minutes before taking advantage of that pace car stop. And the Porsches were a bit likewise, just over halfway for car 11, the Miedeke-Noske car that did 40 minutes instead of around, let's say, an average of 70. The last one was 73 and the previous one was 68. And then for car 3, the Porsche that was closest to grabbing the lead back then, perhaps, if the pace car had been run in the normal way, had only 35 minutes since its last pit stop, having done 71 and 76 and 67 in the previous stops. And Neil Crompton, what you were looking at and commenting on has come to pass, and that is that a Mazda lead of a minute 31 has become 2 minutes 31.
This is the leader going through, car number 7 from the Peter Brock, Tony Scott Volvo, and some of that lead has been whittled away, and the numbers keep changing based on traffic.
Well, in fact, when everybody got flying, so Bowe would have crossed the line
much later than the green flag. And what you had was a situation where car number 3, Fitzgerald-Richards, was at the front of the train, and that 2 minutes 30 you just spoke of, Will's come down to 1:43.
Need a complete lap for everybody to record a time.
So it's, in other words, it's 10 seconds variation.
Still handy.
Oh, yeah.
And when the pace car came out, it had the potential to put them nose to tail. So Alan Horsley's managed to... Well, there's the gap.
Actually, that's the way I'd rather see the pace car work myself.
Yeah.
This way.
Yeah.
It's the fair way, really.
Yeah.
You retain the race situation. I mean, why knock off, you know, sort of, oh, well, now, you know, we'll take back what we've taken before. It's like a taxman getting stuck in here.
It happens a lot, though. We're all used to it.
So, the situation, car 7, 1 minute 43.2 over Peter Fitzgerald in car number 3. There it is. That's the situation. Japanese Mazda RX7 ahead of German Porsche 911 RSCS.
Now this is important because if he can squeeze in front of him and then something else occurs in this race where the pace car does come out for whatever reason, there's the possibility of it working in your favour in terms of protecting your lap as well.
Yes, an interesting...
There's the gap.
So, yeah, with a 1 minute 45-second lap time and a 1 minute 43.2-second lead, you can see that it's not far.
So if John can end up being a lap, and I suspect John will do a double stint this time. Alan was talking about that. He's got good rhythm in the car, and he's very comfortable. So if that happens and he can get a lap up and something else occurs and the pace car comes out, then he's going to have it protected. It's like having a lap in the bank.
Yeah. Having said that, what we were talking about earlier of pressure, is a time also to make errors or to induce a problem with the car. John Bowe's got an incentive now, and he has to go for this. So he's racing the car to the absolute limit that he can eke out of it at this stage. And driving error, well, you don't expect it from a guy like Bowe, but
great tactile.
he will be stretching the car.
Yeah, great tactile strength, though, John. Like, he can feel the car. He's done a ton of driving. He's been a winner for 20-odd years, and, you know, he'll know how... He's not the sort of guy who just sees red mist and thinks, OK, I'm just going to go for this gap because it's there. If he feels like he's squeezing the brake pedal too hard or using up too much of the car, then I don't think he will.
I have to be careful in couching this comment, but of the two drivers in the car that he's chasing, he'd probably rather be dealing with this one than the other too.
I'm not going to comment, Will. You never know who you're going to drive for next.
Let's say that Peter Fitzgerald, trying to manage the team, is probably thinking of more things than Jim Richards would be thinking about. And Jim is a very cunning strategist. So too is Peter Fitzgerald, but sometimes vulnerable, I think, to a bit of pressure.
I guess the strength that John has, which we shouldn't discount. See him looking for cool air there, making sure that he gets plenty of cool air to the front of the car. John does it virtually every weekend of his life, which is something that is very important. If you live in racing cars all the time, it does make a difference to your performance, your ability to read the motor car, set the motor car up, plan strategy. I mean, this will feel like a doddle to John. It'll be nice and slow. He's going to be able to just do this comfortably. And I think that's a strength that he has at the moment.
Psychologically, looking good to put a lap on the Peter Fitzgerald here. That'll be the next big move psychologically, because Peter Fitzgerald or anybody is not going to cope too well with that.
Well, that's right. Doesn't matter who you are, you're not going to cope with being lapped. Fighting to make it happen. As Will said, it does have the potential to create a volatile mix and for something to go wrong, but neither of these guys looks like they're exactly throwing the car around at the moment. They look like they're just doing their job, don't they?
Yes. Keeping clear heads in the situation, I think, in a race that's been running for 5 hours and 40 minutes now. This is the situation, and there are the leading pair in the reverse order, because John Bowe about to put a lap
Fitzy's defensive
on Peter Fitzgerald. If he doesn't do it in the run up to turn 12 at the head of the straight, and it'll be an interesting comparison with the turbocharged boost of the Mazda to see whether he can and he can't, not even on vaguely, then he may well do it in the run down or off the straight. Look at him coming from behind and sailing it right up, getting up a lot of corner speed, tucking in behind it. He's got him now. Fitzgerald wouldn't be able to defend that.
He's got very good mid-corner speed in the Mazda, and which means he's got good exit speed, and that's the result. Change of order.
Fitzgerald wants to come back at him, but there's no show. He hasn't got a chance.
And keep in mind that that wasn't a change for the lead, it was an extension of the lead.
Now 1 lap down, that's significant. A little over 15 minutes off the halfway mark of Eastern Creek 12 hour 1995, and John Bowe, the guy who's on a roll this year, certainly Australian Touring Car Champion. So far in the same 12-month period, a Sandown 500, a 2 is 1000, and an Australian Touring Car Championship.
It really happened after the final round of the Touring Car Championship at Oran Park last year. In fact, at this time of the year, he went to the Sandown 500, and then from that point until now, can do no wrong.
IndyCar Grand Prix wins, Adelaide Grand Prix wins. He's certainly the hottest driver around. He dearly wants to win this race. He, of course, has been a member of the Mazda team before. He stood out one year. In fact, he was up here talking with you, Willie, when he had some sponsorship clash problems. Of course, that ill-fated run in the BMW, which we might touch on a little later.
Well, he's a Mazda dealer.
That's right,
from Devonport, so it's appropriate that he be in this car.
He was also a BMW dealer last year.
Yes.
And drives it forward in Group A. Work all that out.
Last time they went across the start-finish line, there was the lap put on, and the margin between the two of them across that line was 0.0394 of a second. Of course, it's been lengthened out considerably now. That's how close they were when they completed the lap in which John Bowe went by, heading out towards 0.7 of a second at a guess.
Bowe did a 42.7 on that last lap, in the lap that he overtook Peter, and he's just going across the start-finish line now. And just to stamp that authority, he's done a 43.09 versus Fitzy at a 44.3. So Fitzy actually lost pace on that lap.
Has he dropped the ball, do you think?
It's possible, and the other thing, of course, is that if I were Alan Horsley, and I'm not, but you'd now be thinking about perhaps just easing car 7 off a little bit. Just give it a breather. I mean, just
let Fitzgerald see it all the time.
Just taunt him a bit. Basically, just
absolutely.
And Fitzy can afford to do maybe the same in a sense because he's got a lap on Andrew Madiki.
Well, no, not anymore.
Oh, okay.
Unlapped himself. 3 seconds. Sorry, 1.3 seconds gained by Bowe in that lap. So
pretty much tells the story, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty significant. I'll tell you another thing that does. On lap 107, Bowe set his fastest lap time. By lap 119, he did a faster one again. And lap 195 that he's now covered, well, on lap 194, he was doing 42s. Now, of drivers that have got into the 41s, there's John Bowe in car 7, Jim Richards in car number 3, and there was one other Porsche. It was the car 4.
Oh, that's right. Bradley and Smithy did a 41.9.
Yep.
Yes, that's right.
So 3 cars have broken into the 41s, a 41.62 for Fitzgerald stroke Richards and a 41.97. 3/10 outside the absolute hottest best time done by a Porsche here by John Bowe in car number 7.
Well, that lap that he just did